Welcome, everybody. Thanks for joining this presentation and this talk. I appreciate that you're here. Yeah, I saw that one of the key things here at Venture Cafe is to make yourself at home. I don't think it's going to be very hard today. Many of you might be at home at the moment. But yeah, thanks for joining me at the end of this day. I'm here at Rotterdam at Ventures Cafe. We'd love to meet you here at the bar, but we'll do that next time. What I'd like to do is share my story, my founder's story about how we started Worth. I'm gonna talk you through that. But before we start, if it's up to me, this is a very interactive presentation. So if there's any questions or comments, you can just put them in the chat. I've got the chat here in front of me, so I'm gonna have a peek during the presentation there and see if there's anything there. And then I'll try and pick that up right away. Yeah, I'd love to hear your thoughts, challenges. So I think my first question here, because I've got no idea. I know some people I actually know. It's really nice to see them in the call. But if you can share a little bit about the industry of where you're working, in which fields you're working. If you can put that in the chat, I would greatly appreciate that. And whilst you guys are doing that, I'll tell you a little bit more about myself. Let me see if I can do this way. I've got some slides, but what I'll do is I'll just talk to you like this, and then if I've got something to share you, I'll try and share that. Let's see how that works. Yeah, the first thing I think I need to tell you, I've asked you to tell you a little bit about yourself. I'll also ask if I'll tell you a little bit about me. When I was about 6 years old, I was, my friends back then always called me the inventor. I didn't call myself that way, but I was really about building things, trying things out with technology, and building little machines, those kind of things. That's what interested me a lot when I was 6 years old. The other kids in class would make drawings of animals or of houses and those kind of things. Let me share my screen here. I think that's a good idea. This is something that I would draw back in those days. Yeah, you can see I was always thinking about how these machines work, how automatic things work. So that was something I discovered very early on, that I was fascinated with automation and that I just loved to think about how things could work and build machines. One of the things I also remember is that I built a washing machine or a dishwasher back in those days. We didn't have a dishwasher then. So I built one. It was fully functional, but I must admit to you that I was actually in the machine doing the dishwashing myself. So it wasn't a fully automated one, but yeah, you could put things in on one hand, and on the other hand, the dishes would come out completely clean. So that's just a little bit about me. I started my company, which I'll tell you a bit more about in a minute. I started my company from a fascination with the field itself. So not from a very business perspective, really from the material itself that we're talking about, the automation, the thing that we're working on. So today I'll give you an uncensored version of my story. So I'll also tell you all the things I did that didn't work out well or that were very challenging along the way. Let me see what I see. And one person actually put something in there. That's good. This is going good. So working with Ventures Cafe. So come on, guys. I need to get some more messages in the chat. I would like to know where you're coming from, because then I know who I'm talking to. Then in the meantime, so I've already told you a little bit about where I'm coming from. In the meantime, I'm going to share a little bit about my company. So let me see if you can see this. My company is called Worth Systems. I'm the founder and director of Worth. We're a company based in the Netherlands and in the United Kingdom. We're based near London. And what we do is we help organizations be successful in digital, full service, from design to build to launch. And we do that with a team. At the moment, the team is just a bit over 100 people. And we've got all the disciplines in there that you need to be successful. I think I can always come back to telling a bit more about the company, but you'll get to know us a little bit more during this presentation anyway. old friend developer, project development, Scrum Master, software development, marketing, communication. Great. Okay. Well, at Worth, I think you'll see me moving to here once every other time. So that's where my laptop is. It's just off screen. But yeah, I'm just keeping an eye on the chat there. I think the thing that we do at Worth, we're not selling a platform or a software solution or offering you advice or offering you a person. What we do is when a client at Worth wants to go somewhere, they want to achieve a certain goal. What we do is we go on the journey with the client together, and we provide them with all the things I just mentioned, but really as part of that journey that we go on together. And I think one of the important parts of that is that we don't take the client up a journey that they don't want to go up themselves. We're not convincing anybody to go up a mountain they don't want to go up. That's the journey that the client wants to go. And we're there at every step. And we've got the technology, the tools, and everything you need on that journey. So now you know a little bit more about what we do. And if there's any questions, then let me know. I think what I'll do first is I'll tell you a little bit about when I started. It was back in 2002. At that time, actually, I was in college, and I had a job making number plates, license plates for cars, just on a side job, just to make some money. And everybody had to get these new European ones on their cars. So I was really on the lookout for something else, for something more interesting. And then I got the question, we've got a project. I mean, I was doing an IT study, so I was already in that field. I got the question, we need somebody to do a certain development, Visual Basic scripting. Is that something you can do? And to be honest, I'd never programmed Visual Basic before. But they said, can you do that? We were starting this project next week. And I thought, well, maybe I can. So I said yes. I got the book. Spent the whole weekend, very long time during every day to start to read and understand that language. And the week after, I was at that client building software with the Visual Basic script. It was slightly nerve-wracking, but now when I'm looking back on it, that was quite an important moment that I sort of took that step and said, okay, I'm gonna give it a go and I'm gonna say yes to this. This work that I was doing was at the city of The Hague. And that's where, let me share you a little bit of that. I'm going to share that in a second. It was really nice working for government. I don't know how many tech agencies will say that these days. It's going to be challenging as well. But the good thing was that we were working on things that had real impact for the city that we were living in, and we could literally look outside and see the people that we were building the software for. So that was, because back then I was just in college, right? So I knew about technology, but I'd never built something that was really used. And now all of a sudden my things that I built were used by the whole city. And yeah, I started this company. As we working with the city, I was working with more and more parts of the government as well. Because you start to understand when you work at a client, how a client like that is structured. So we were doing work for the fire department, for the archaeologists, for the cleaning department that would clean the streets, for social services in the city. So we got to explore that whole client and understand the client. And back at that days during my studies, there were about 10 other students that joined me on this journey in a freelance way. So I gave them a contract and we worked on these projects together. So that was how we started. Let me just take a sip of water because I think that's going to be good. But yeah, so when work started, I didn't have any external funding. I didn't have any subsidies or funds like that. I bought a laptop. That was my biggest investment at that time. I bought some software that I needed to build other software with. And that's it. We were in business, and it was a really exciting time because there were all these projects like we want to do something about the air quality in the city. Well, I'll share quickly, switch this on. This is a bit more clicking than I thought it would be. But I think here you can see one of the projects we worked on. Now, this is something, you know, we could use our technology. And what we did, I'll tell you a little bit more about this project. We used technology to make the air quality in this street in The Hague, to make that visible on the display. It wasn't really complicated, but everybody understands these smileys when they walk in the streets. They could see instantly whether the air quality was okay in their streets or it was not. Now, this was a simple project. I remember we won it. It was a 5,000 euro project, or guilders actually, I guess, back in the days, project. We celebrated, we popped the champagne when we won that project. And we built it. And you know what? After this was there for a couple of months, the politicians in the city decided to change how the traffic is routed through the city. So now this street, this display is no longer there because there's no cars, no polluting cars anymore in that street because they changed it. So I had a couple of these type of projects where I was going, wow, this tech thing, it really allows me to make impact at my clients. So yeah, I was keen to do more. And I had, as I explained, I had about 10 freelance students working, but they would come and go, of course, because they would get proper jobs and finish their studies. So at some stage, I decided to say to two of those guys, why don't you join me and I give you a permanent job, which was super nerve-wracking, you can imagine, because I had all of a sudden I had a monthly commitment to them. But the good thing was that we could start to build structurally together full-time. We were at my house back in that day. Let me stop or pause the share briefly. Yeah, so we were at my house. So every morning, ding dong, they would be at my front door. We would work. I had a space that holds the 3 desks. We would work together, have lunch at my dinner table. And we really built the foundation of the company there. But at some stage, my family was growing and we really needed to move to a proper space. So we moved to the Caballero Fabriek. I don't know if you know it, you might have been there. It's a really nice place near The Hague in Voorburg. And moving to the Caballero Fabriek was an important step. One thing, because we weren't at my house all the time, but also we met loads of other people there. And you know, we could do many more interesting projects there. I could receive clients there, which at my house I would never do, of course. So yeah, at the Caballero Fabriek, we started to do bigger projects. We built a platform back then for all the bars and hotels and cafes in Holland, 20,000 of them. And I had another one of those moments where I thought tech impact can be big. Because we could really help those cafes and those bars, providing them with tools that would really empower them. For instance, to make better deals with their suppliers or things like that. So it was really another one of those moments. And it was hard work. I remember me and the team worked, sometimes we just didn't sleep for a whole night and just kept going to get those projects successful. Because we would really early on, we knew that those successes were really important to get to the next project. So yeah, let me fast forward a little bit. I met my business partner in the Caballero Fabriek as well. So that's another thing about location, that being at my house, I would have never met him, but being at the Caballero Fabriek, we got a chatting. Mark had a client and an interesting project, but he had no team. I had a team, and we decided from then on to partner up and to join up. Worth was about 10 people at that stage. So that was about the size of the company. And we started to work together for this British client. So I got to practice my English a lot more. I got to meet a lot of great people over there. This was a really, because I was about 10 years in. So the company existed for about 10 years. And this was a completely new part of the journey for me. The fact that, that we could now also work in another country. And I could see that there were exactly the same problems and exactly the same approach worked there, just as well as it worked in the Netherlands. Let me see if there's any questions in chat, and maybe Florian is here in the room. If you see something, then point me at it, because that might be better. Okay, so then things were going good. We had to find loads and loads of different people to expand the company, to build the company, and it was a challenge, recruitment challenge. And there would be great people coming through the door. And I remember a guy coming in through the door from New York, Chris, front-end developer, and we really wanted to hire him, get him on our team. But we were all speaking Dutch, most of our company. So we decided, okay, from now on we speak English. And by doing that, we opened up the company to many more people from outside Holland. And at the moment, there's about 13 different cultures at Waard. So it's now really part of our identity, the fact that that we're not all coming from the same background. And of course, this also posed loads of challenges. I mean, I don't want to do a talk of 3 hours, but we learned so much along the way of how you build a really diverse team, but also a place where people are safe and where teams can be really open to each other. Those were really things that in those days we laid the foundations for. Let me switch to the next one. So now the thing that the collaboration with Mark was also really important for me. I was used to running this company by myself, but now all of a sudden I had some partner in crime there that I could bounce ideas off of, that together we could discuss the challenges we had. So whilst it was also something to adjust to when you're used to doing everything by yourself, it was also really fun doing that together. And as you can see here, you know, we were in the UK a lot. And at some stage, we had the pitch of a lifetime. It was a big, big government project in the UK. Approximately 50 people on that project, so a big project. And we flew there, we did the pitch, we did everything to prepare. And, you know, there's also a bit of success in this presentation. We got the project. I still remember completely how we felt whilst we were driving back to the airport that, okay, we got this big project, but now we're gonna have to get this going, get this delivered. And the challenge was that our team back in Holland, because we had no local presence in the UK in that time, our team back in Holland was excited, but not completely undivided, because there were also people there with families and with other things like gym memberships and things. And our idea to now fly to the UK every week with the team was a challenge. It was not easy to, every time we sort of made a big leap with the company, to make sure that everybody is there with us on that journey, on the same journey. So luckily, my partner in business, Mark, has got a great sense for real estate. He loves big buildings, he loves fancy places, so he got us this place. Nice house in the countryside, in the United Kingdom, with hills stretching around it. And we rented this place. We rented the place for the duration of this project. Now, all of a sudden, it started to change a little bit. There were more people that were actually quite interested in being there once in a while and joining this adventure. Because whilst we were moved from my house to the Caballero Fabriek, now we were back in a house, a little bit bigger, 15 bedrooms to be precise. And I remember me and Mark putting together little IKEA beds for every room in that house so that everybody would have their own bedroom when they would go over to the UK. So everybody felt, yeah, it was just really good vibe being there together. And also after work, that you're not in your hotel room, but you're in a place where there's loads to do, and you're there with your friends, with your colleagues. So that's been a really great part of the journey. At the moment, we don't have this anymore. At the moment, we've got a presence there with a local team, with a real office. Because yeah, we did get that question back in the days. Don't we need a real office, guys? So yeah, that's part of the journey. In the meantime, one of the things that we learned whilst working on the UK project is, again, that we're doing a government project, but it's all for the people outside on the streets, for the users. And whilst I found it worth from a technology starting point, we really started to develop additional services. So more user driven services, UX, adding that to the service offering. So whilst we were back in the Netherlands, we can now go, oh, we've learned so much from these projects in the UK. Why don't we apply them here in the Netherlands? Because this way of working, because the project was a big success. That's not unimportant to mention. It was a very challenging project, and we worked on that a couple of years, but it's a big success. So we thought, now we're going to bring these same practices back to Holland. So yeah, loads of designs, loads of sketching, journey mapping, those kind of things. I think it's not unfamiliar to you. So we're doing that in Holland as well. And the company was growing. Everybody that would join the company would get one of these mugs. And there were more and more mugs in the cupboard. So it was growing up. And that posed loads and more challenges. By the way, if you want to do me a favor, put some of your challenges in the chat, because I'm really keen to also hear some of you. I'll go in depth a bit more into my challenges, but please share some of them of you in the chat, whether you're in a startup or in a scale up or in a large corporate, or there must be challenges everywhere. So please put them in. Yeah, my challenges back in those days was that it was going well and it was growing quickly, but it was growing some months. We hired 5 or 6 people in a month. And that posed big challenges because we were still a very flat organization. It was me, my business partner, Mark, and that was basically it. And when you get to a pool of 50 people or 60 people, it got really challenging. I mean, we had self-steered teams. So from a project point of view, it was going okay. Those teams were their own self-sufficient units, and we were building teams. But at the same time, we had HR, finance. We had all these parts of the company that also needed a plan and direction. So we were really starting to think about how can we put some structure in? How can we make this work better? We were also all really inexperienced managers. Myself, the first one. Let's put myself first, because I did IT studies and I built all these systems, but I'm not a manager. So we decided, also because some of the people in my team were saying, Ernout, we do need a manager. We need somebody that is going to provide the structure and is going to look at what we're doing every day, which is not what I was doing. I was putting a lot of trust in everybody that was in the organization, and I'm still doing that. But yeah, there were questions, people asked for a manager. So we got a manager in. And that was a really good manager, but it didn't work for Worth. After a while, we just realized that we needed somebody that really gets digital, that gets design, gets the challenges. Because our engineers were talking with the manager and he didn't really understand their challenges. Not like they were used to with me and Mark. So it was really hard getting that management layer in place properly. So we had to experiment. We had to look at other ways of making it work. Now, at the moment, I've got a management team. That works much better. Having a management team there with multiple people in it, all with their own specialism and their own focus, has made a big difference for the company. Because now, if somebody, if an engineer is talking to our head of software engineering, that person knows what they're talking about. You know, they understand and they can relate to that person. It also meant a big change for me, to be honest. Having a management team there, in a way, I had a phase where I was going, so what am I then doing? Because all these people in the management team, they have their own specialty, you know? So I've got somebody in HR that of course knows much more about HR than I do. So I've got discussions with Wouter, who's in our team. So what am I gonna add? So, you know, that is a change again. If you have a management team with good people in it, then it's about letting them make the decisions and trusting other people to now continue building. So that I'm not going, oh, I need control over everything. Yeah, I'm now in this situation for a longer time. So I found a way that I really feel that that I can add something, but also there's lots of room for my team to now continue building the company. So yeah, things I've now got to do is get out of my comfort zone again, like today speaking to you in front of this camera. That's not something I as a developer would naturally do first thing. So that's something that I can now do for the company, and also just to be out there, because especially now in all the COVID and Corona times, we do need to still connect with other people and share stories. You know, it's not all everybody at home. So yeah, so that is me now, my role now. Let me stop the share. Yeah, so I think that this is the majority of what I wanted to share. You know, because if I'm looking back at the journey that we have had so far, and of course there's loads more stories to tell, but this is also very one way. So I think I'm going to keep it brief. But yeah, to summarize, I didn't have like a clear mission or vision statement when I started. We did develop that as we were on our way. I didn't have the best product or the structure. So I'm definitely not here to give you any advice on how you should approach these things. That is not for me. I just want to share how my journey has been, and sort of it's more like a travel log than like a manual. I think the thing I set out this journey for was really to learn, to just experience interesting projects, meet interesting people, and I learned a lot. I had to change my role a couple of times along the journey, so yeah, that really opened up a lot of opportunity to learn for me and also for everybody involved. Because those two first guys that I hired at the start, they are still with the company, and one of them is now the CTO in the UK, leading that team there from a technical point of view. So also for them, it's been a whole journey where they have gone and experienced all these roles and all these parts of the business. So yeah, the learning was definitely a key part. We had to think ahead. I mean, it was not like we didn't have a plan. We just didn't plan too far out, because then I was personally worried that if we would plan too far out, maybe we'd close our eyes on the opportunities that would be around the corner. So we could really take it one step at a time and just continue building, funding the business with the money that was coming in from the projects. So if you don't take out any money, then you know you can. In our case, it's very different, of course, if you're in manufacturing or something like that, I can imagine. But you know, in our case, we could fund the company from that. The key thing was we just wanted the best results for our clients. And so client intimacy was a key thing along the whole journey. We wanted to understand when our client would be successful. If we had to change a little bit ourselves or try a different approach, we would do that if that would mean success for the client and for the client's users. And we would be managing the client's risks instead of our risks. So it was really that user focus. I think that was a key thing on that journey. And a couple of other things that in the story you've seen, location was really important to us. It was, you know, if I was still in my bedroom working, I wouldn't have met my business partner. but also I wouldn't be able to have everybody give everybody a sitting desk. You know, it would be way too crowded. So it was really a key part. The location part was important. And, you know, creating an organization that was really ready to adapt and to change on that journey. So let me see if there's any challenges in there in that chat. Founder, circular built environment. Cool, cool, very cool. Loads of different people in here. Because, yeah, I think, you know, to sort of, I finished that summary. So these are the things that when I look back on those last 19 years, it's the things that I've just mentioned that are really important. No, I don't see any challenges yet. So I'll share one of mine because we're all in the same pandemic together. I must say, we're doing loads of things now with the teams working from home because everybody's still working from home to keep connecting, you know, play games together, do meetings together. We've got some great formats for that as well that work. I've been running through my house, finding yellow objects. I don't know if you've done anything similar, but those type of things. And we had genuine fun, you know, but I must say it is difficult and different these days to keep that connection with everybody. Like when you're together having a drink, at the end of the day, that is so much easier. You can't ignore that fact. So one of the challenges I've currently got is, keeping that going. And that people that have been with us, there's people that have been joining us after the Corona thing started, they might not have that connection on that level with us at all. So yeah, that is one of the challenges, to keep everybody on board, because I'm really looking forward to coming back together at the office and building that vibe, you know, that feeling that you have when you're all there together again. So it's something I'm looking forward to. Any questions? Yeah, I'm not promising any answers, as I told you, but I do have loads and loads of stories about different things that happened during those 19 years. Because at the beginning, that's another thing. At the beginning, you've got to do everything yourself, right? You've got to be the salesperson. Even though, to be honest, at the beginning, I didn't dare to ask money for things. I felt a bit bad asking for money for things. And of course, that's a part of building a business. It needs to fund itself. It needs to work. So yeah, that's something that I had to learn along the way. But also at the beginning, you're really into each project. You're really close. But then as the team starts to grow, you've got to let it go a little bit and take a step back. And then as you've got multiple teams, you've got a management team, you've got to take another step back. And then as both countries, UK and the Netherlands, both are growing, there's another moment where you've got to say, you know, I've got to focus on a certain zone, because every cell of the company is going to develop at their own pace and with the people that are there. So yeah, the letting go for me was one of the challenges in the journey. Let's see, what do we have there? Ah, yeah, that's my colleague Florian asking something from over there. That's very nice of you. How do you see it in 5 years? Okay, I am going to answer that one. We didn't prepare this together. We should. Yeah, I want to meet a lot more organizations, companies, startups that have got ambitions and that know where they want to go, and that we can help digitally, you know, that we can help on that journey and make successful, because that in the end of the day is what gets me going. The other thing we're thinking of doing as an addition to Worth is to build more space for startups to be close to us. So whether that is through incubation or funding or having desks near our teams, so that at least we get closer together. So that's something I'm keen on doing next. Because it's just a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun talking to other entrepreneurs and talking to other people that are building something. Let's see, is there anything else there? Okay, well, you know, there is one. Yeah, really nice.
Do you think that your personal passion for your work and the need to make money is a better start for a company than receiving a lot of money and building a company from there?
I don't know. I think, what is better? I see, let's put it like this. I see organizations sometimes, so not necessarily startups, but organizations getting stuck because there's too much money. They make things too complicated. They spend too much money on big platforms, on things, and they get stuck because there's too much. So I've seen that. I think building in small steps is a good advice. That if it's possible, you should definitely go there. So without making a really big one step, testing it out, working with the client, getting the client intimacy, learning, really understanding what the client is worrying about. What are they lying awake at night? What are they thinking about? Because that is really, really valuable. So I think those are some things I can say to that maybe if you haven't got that budget, you'll start smaller. So I think that automatically shapes your company in a way that is valuable to customers, because they're going to have to pay for it already, because you have no money to postpone that moment that they start paying. But of course, it totally depends on your line of business. And I also don't have any experience in those other lines of business. So if you need to, you create a medical product, you need to go through clinical trials, you need to do all those things. Of course, it's not possible to do that without any funding, I can imagine. So it really depends on the situation. But if you can try it out, do it small scale, do a test on paper with clients. It's just, and I think these are also practices that these days are really getting really common. To doing design sprints, to user testing, all those things are no exception anymore. Everybody is doing that, and that's a really good thing.
What's the best tip you can give to a founder to grow their team as fast as you did?
Well, as fast as I didn't grow that fast. The first 10 years we grew to 10 people, remember? But I was busy finishing my studies. So you can't completely put a scale on it. But for us, it was client intimacy. It was really understanding the client and genuinely worrying about them, and only that. I remember our British clients coming over, and this is just a small example, but they were coming over. We made sure that there were plug boxes where they could plug in their British chargers. We had Yorkshire Gold, their tea that they were used to in the UK. So we didn't have the flag hanging out, but we did whatever we could think of to make them feel really like, I'm appreciated, and people think ahead and they understand what we need when we get here. I think that is one of the things I can say about that as a tip from a founder. That in our case, really focusing on that client only was really good advice. But as I said as well, I didn't have a complete set out plan. So I also don't really believe in following somebody else's plan. So it's also about your own journey and one step at a time, thinking what can I do now that will make it a little bit better, and then keep doing that step by step, building it and enjoying the journey. Of course, it's really it's never a dull moment doing something like this. So it's also a lot of fun. So you've got to, if you're not really enjoying it, then that is something to think about, if that is what you want.
Okay, so let's see if there's anything there. How do you maintain the culture while the employees are working remote or into different countries?
I think that one of the only ways of doing that is by having people there that have been part of that initial culture. I'm now thinking, this might be a really bad analogy, but I think if you're making cheese, I think what they do is they take a little bit of that culture and they use it for every time they make that cheese again. Isn't something like that going on? So it's not like they start from scratch. There is something there that they use every time. Different type of culture, but at least, it's sort of that they... Now, in this case, the cheese guys were us in Holland. But one of the two guys that joined me first, he is now CTO in the UK with a team there. I think that those things really help, because then the things that we find normal, to give a team the freedom to do a good job and to not be in their way, or for a team to be honest about progress and about things that have gone wrong, those type of things, you've got to demonstrate it. You've got to, the leadership has got to demonstrate it, and then everybody will get it. And you don't even have to say it. So I think that the fact that Rogier, one of the two guys that joined me at the start, that he is in the UK with that team, that sort of brings that culture forward. And the funny thing is that a couple of years in the UK office, there were new people there, right? So completely new British team, because in the Netherlands, we were all getting families and kids and everything. We didn't want to fly to the UK every week. It was also not sustainable. It's not good for the planet anyway. So it was really time to build a local team. And that local team did a session about company values. And I must say, I was a little bit like going like, we have them. Why are we doing this session for? We've got them. But it was really cool, because surprisingly, the values that came out of that, there were some different words in them, but they were just the same. There were the same things there. It was the transparency, the openness, the fact that we want to make an impact. Those things that were there since the start, you could now see there as well. So I think having people mix with new people, having them show how things are done, that is, because I think that the culture, if you join, let's imagine you join a new organization, right? You have a new job, you come somewhere, and you're a new organization. The culture is what you see all the others do. It's not what they tell you. It's what you see happen. So yeah, I think it's really about doing it and demonstrating it. I don't know if that even does. Thank you for your question. Even does that answer your question? Because so that means a lot of traveling. If in case your team is in another place. I've tried in other places, remote with teams. And I've never been successful doing that somewhere else when there was no local part of a team there to help get it in that direction. Yes. Okay. So so that those bacteria that I just used in my story, that does exist and it's got a name. Oh, I'm learning. This is good. This is good. Keep up with the analogy. Okay, I'm gonna keep it. I'm gonna keep it now. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Well, I think we're about at the end of the talk. Thanks a lot for joining me. Because maybe dinner is waiting. Yeah. Let me say this: we're at the office hours. And at the moment they're digital. My colleague Florian is there. So yeah, if you want to reach out to us, we're always interested in meeting other companies and hearing about their journey and also where they want to go. So looking forward to that. And then I wish you all a very nice evening. Thanks for joining.